Hello, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and others in chat. Welcome to another drawing session. We are in the final search of InkTober last week. And if I'm to be honest with you, chat, I'm low-key ready for this to change for a different vibe. We're gonna try something a little bit different today. Instead of erasing as I've normally done, I'm just gonna alternate between the two colors. I just sampled the 60% gray that I use for my backgrounds. And so I'm not really erasing. I should. The theory is it should get me more control. Because it allows me to do stuff like this. So, subject matter of the day. Maybe I should start planning these subject matters a little bit better. I'm trying to catch up with a older anime that I watched, which was called Data Live. It kind of plays with a lot of the tropes that is associated with dating sims. And full disclosure, chat, I played those. I played a good chunk of those back in the day. That was one of my introductions to, as I expanded my forte into anime and stuff like that. Of course, you can't escape the hentai. You can't escape the ecchi stuff. It's just no doing it. And in that process, I ended down the rabbit hole of dating sims, and it was like one of the earliest integrations of storytelling or art, anime art, doing anime art. I've been going into it. I always like video games, but it's a massive undertaking. Back in the early 2000s, it was like a gargantuan undertaking to try and take on a game production kind of thing. Indie game development was not nearly as big as it is today. Although not everything is guaranteed to be the second coming of Stardew Valley, things are now quite different compared to the back in my day, back in the quarter of a century ago. Yeah. Yeah, those were some fun times. I remember good old what are they called? G collections, I believe. One of the few companies that braved the censoring and like translated visual novels. It didn't go very well for them because like people punch through their copyright protection quite easily, to the point where it's like you could almost count like, oh, they have a new release, we'll give it like literally 2 weeks, and they would have somebody would have punched through their copyright protection, and yeah, that's quite sad. So to the surprise of no one, they went out of business. But I remember I was like, oh, like these are cool games. Like some of the best early stories I ever had. Visual novel is probably one of the few stories that I read that made me ugly cry. Like snot and tears, ugly cry. Not loud, because for some reason I'm not a loud crier any more than I'm a loud laugher. But yeah, that's just how it is. But yeah, I was sitting quietly playing Kana Little Sister, and I can't. It's very unfortunate. I don't remember. The game has like 3 endings, and I can't remember. Which one it was. It could very well have been I think the first one that I like genuinely played was the snow ending. I think so. But anyway, the that's a little triangle thing. How the heck am I gonna paint that one? Something like that. And yeah, that was a brutal experience. Never really had a story impact me that much before. before or since, basically. And I remember I really wanted to go like, this is it, like, or this is a good entry point in making games. Like, these are cool. I always liked stories, story-driven games, and so on and so forth. So, you know, Final Fantasies, that sort of thing. And this doesn't look like anything like onions at all. Like, what the heck, man? Ah. Alright. Guess it's time to zoom in. And make this sucker really thin. Something like that. I don't know. Kinda, but it just needs to be bigger. Yeah. Speaking of nostalgia, I also kind of, for some reason, I kind of also low-key wanted to go into back into a MMO called Ion. Anyone ever played that, chat? Korean kind of thing. It was like, yeah, the WoW killer. All MMOs back in the day were like, oh yeah, this is the next WoW killer. Look out, Blizzard, we're coming for you. And then, spoilers, they didn't. I don't think anybody managed. It's only now, like 2 decades later, that World of Warcraft is saying serious competition, from my limited understanding. I could be wrong about that, of course. I don't follow it that closely, but yeah. Alright, and something like that. I don't know. Yeah, kind of have to make a decision. And I suppose this detail here needs to be on. So yeah. Oh. Something like that. Boom, there you go. I mean, I suppose this one is meant to be a bit weird and edged because, well, and so I'm kind of looking into with Ion, with regards to Ion, I go like just try it again, just hop in. Of course, the game has changed dramatically since then. They're looking at like Ion 2.0. No, yeah, Ion 2, and they released Ion Classic, presumably because like Ooh, look at that World of Warcraft classic money people are making. Hey, let's see. Can we do that? Yeah, we can do that. We have the old files lying around. And apparently the last good classic version was version 3.9, and I'm looking around like, because I know you can make your own private server for World of Warcraft, which I've done in the past, and like Wrath of the Lich King stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, goofing around with bots and whatnot, and it's fun. Not gonna lie, it's like, oh yeah, the nostalgia, like back when we were the nostalgia from how we were back in the 2000s, early mid 2000s nostalgia, that kind of thing. Nostalgia for that. That's freaking hilarious. And then, of course, what is it? I keep losing my train of thought. Still have a long way to go. But yeah, my yapping skills, chat, they're not good. But practice makes perfect, I suppose. But yeah, I am. Yeah, private server. And I got like dug around a little bit and got like, yeah, I can found some tutorials and forums and stuff. But like, oh yeah, it's doable, and of course some coding wizards that of course have like made things super easy, barely an inconvenience when it comes to setting this stuff up. Because of course they have. So low-key kind of hiked up to try it. Even if it's just for a little bit. Just a little bit. Chat. Clean this one up a little bit. Yeah. I have found a first idea for Tutorial Tuesday. on Pinterest, I have a cool idea. It kind of ties into this. Except now we're going to be working with colors, chat. And maybe some... I'm not sure if we're going to... Well, we'll try. Maybe we'll try some different brushes, but we'll see what we can do with just the basic brushes. These basic brushes here. Yeah, could be fun. I would also like to try and record a time lapse of it and post that for extra traction. I don't know, YouTube Shorts. Let's try that. Who knows? I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just throwing things at the wall, see what sticks. Though it is important to acknowledge that this Inktober stuff is not necessarily the most exciting form of content. I mean, look at this. It's not pretty, but then again, part of me is like, that is some hideous, ugly stuff, and you should be ashamed of yourself and do something else. But I also kind of like, part of the reason why I'm doing this exercise in the first place is learning to see in value, both learning to see in value and also telling that voice to shut up, get out of my head. Which is admittedly is a bit hard to do when we're working on something that go like, yeah, this looks like a stinker. It doesn't really look. And again, still life has never really been my forte. My forte. Yeah. Oh, you can't save. Okay. Because I auto save or something. There we go. Good old regular save chat. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure how that would because I do know that there is a capturing mode built into Krita. So if we could just use that instead and put some music on top and call it a day. Yeah, I'm thinking HoloLive fan art. And maybe even post it. I'm part of the Wing Canvas Discord. Post it there for some feedback as well. Because apparently feedback, that is a tricky part for me to go like, yeah, you need the feedback if you want to improve. I'm like, yeah, that tracks, that makes sense, but getting good feedback is not easy. You usually end up with like, the community is too big, so you're just screaming out into the void, or the community is too small and you don't have either they don't have the resources to it, or they don't have people at your or maybe even greater skill level that could sort of like provide you with the feedback that you need. Yeah. Coffee did improve a little bit because I drank like, how much does it go into that cup? Like 7 deciliters, almost a liter, a whole liter of that red onion plus honey. I didn't put oil in it this time around. Maybe I have the wrong type of oil. But it still did what it did. You chop up the onion, put it in boiling water. You put it in water, you heat the water up to a boil, and then once it starts boiling, you take it off the heat, and then you just let it fester there in the steaming warm water for 10-15 minutes. And then you pour it out. Pour the water off in the container. Obviously, you need to filter out the onion, let it cool a little bit, and then you add it. But I have like a teaspoon for a cup, but I had a big one, so I just put a generous douse. I also want a bit of a sweet tooth, so I put a generous amount of honey in it. Waited a little bit so that it would the water wasn't too hot. Apparently, if it's too hot, it would kill all the good stuff in the honey. So I think I'm repeating myself. I'm on a broken record. But yeah. So it was while I was watching the last half of what was that? Season 4 of anime called Data Life. I think I only got to the second season, and then I kind of just fell off. Originally. It's not exactly cinema as far as this anime series going, but it's fine, fair enough. Stupid, brain dead entertainment background noise. Kind of like, yeah, I can just have it in the background while I'm sipping on my onion tea. Seems to help. I might go for a second serving after the stream. Might turn it into my regular serving if during stream. So I'm gonna be yapping. Especially if I need to be yapping for longer periods of time once InkTober is done. Because I'm not coughing. If I just shut up, I'm not necessarily coughing that much. So there's something about talking that triggers the coughing. I have no idea what. It could just be me getting older, changing in the season. Who knows? Who knows, Jan? I tried a lot of different things to sort of find a remedy. But I do remember last year that I also got a cough, but that wasn't a regular cough, but that was a persistent bugger. It would not leave. Almost 2 months of cough. Yeah, annoying. It doesn't look like onions. But yeah, maybe Hmm. Yeah. Yep. Hmm. Also stuck on the little coding thing that I did. Did I mention that? Doing like some coding, HTML, CSS coding, dipping my toes into that. And I don't know, maybe I'm just playing on ultra hard difficulty because working on Linux and I'm not that familiar with the Linux system, and certainly haven't done anything with the GitHub thing. You try to fix something and then you fix one thing but another thing breaks, and I go like, why did that break? But so tried what I could, and now I ask that there's a Discord thing there you can ask for help, explain the situation, the predicament, giving them all the links, as much information as I think it would be relevant. Probably because of time zone differentiations, I don't think I'm gonna get any answer until tomorrow, most likely. Which is a pain. Time zones, am I right, chat? Time zones. Maybe. Yeah. Don't it work tomorrow? Nice. Oh, speaking of work, Wednesday's stream will probably be much later. Than normal, because right after work, I work on Wednesdays, so right after work I'm gonna go visit my parents. But since I don't have any work on Tuesday and Friday, then I can go like, oh yeah, I can just stay up late. Plus I only stream for like an hour anyway at this time, so 8 p.m. sounds like a reasonable time to be at home. I think so. Because if I remember correctly, my mom follows Yellowstone, the TV show, and she's the one that drives me home. And I go like, all right, well, I need to. She's going, I'm gonna throw you out of the house before Yellowstone comes on. You need to be out of the house. And I'm like, all right, that's fair. And if I remember correctly, it starts at 7. Something like that. So, yeah. Of course, I could just take the bus back home, but which isn't really that much of an ask, if I'm to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. They export this puppy. And then we go on to Mastodon. Yeah, I kind of like. Tree onions. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. 4 whole likes. Well, I'm not complaining. I'll take it as a win. 27. Based on a photo by Coppens. Yulam. I'm gonna butcher that, so just embarrass myself further. But yeah, there we go. I'll post that. Open, post. Old millennial using social media in a clunky, awkward way. But yeah, there you go. Why did I click that? It's a good old-fashioned curiosity killed the cat, isn't it? Alright. So, tomorrow's skeletal, which basically means we have a bunch of skulls. Ooh, interesting. Lesson with a teacher. That could be fun and interesting. And then we have vacant and award. The award one is going to be something. So metallic and shiny, as rewards usually are. Is it gonna be a royal pain in the butt to draw or paint in? Oh well, it is what it is. So, where are we at, chat? Thanks for stopping by. Keep drawing and keep having fun, and I'll see you soon.